Yes, students, today we will learn the solubility of gas in liquid. Solubility of gas increase with increase of the pressure. If we talk about the pressure, the solubility increases. Why it is so? Because when pressure is applied, suppose this is the liquid and here we have gas, and suppose through the piston, if we increase the pressure by applying a piston, what will happen? That this pressure increases, or if we put the force over here, then gas will dissolve easily in the liquid, right? So here a simple relation between pressure and solubility of the gas in liquid is, it is on increasing the pressure, the solution or the solubility of the gas in liquid increases. Now suppose if we consider a system like in this only, this is the lower part where it is the solution and upper part is in the gaseous state. Here two phase is there. This is solution and this is what? Gaseous part. And suppose this we are doing at a particular temperature, pressure and particular temperature. Assume that this system to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium. Dynamic equilibrium means your gas is being dissolved into this and some gas is being undissolved. Dissolution and solution both taking place. Under these conditions, the rate of gaseous particle entering and leaving are equal. We call it what? Equilibrium. Now increasing the pressure over here, what happens? On increasing the pressure, the solubility will increase, because by increasing the pressure, the number of gaseous particle per unit volume over the solution, and also the rate at which the gaseous particles are striking the surface of solution to enter it. So this was studied by a scientist named Henrys, and he was the first to give a quantitative relations that how much the pressure will increase and how much is the solubility increase, and that he gave a law called Henry's law. Now what is this Henry's law? This law states that at a constant temperature, because temperature must be constant, the solubility of gas in a liquid is directly proportional to its, we can say, partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid, but here temperature must be constant. Now at the same time, independently, a scientist called Dalton, he also studied the same thing, and what he told, that he concluded that the solubility of gas in a liquid is directly proportional to its partial pressure, and if we use the solubility or represent the solubility in terms of mole fraction, then this solubility is directly proportional to its partial pressure. So this Henry's law, in common form we can say that partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the gas. So we can have a relation between partial pressure and mole fraction. So partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction, and here partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction, and taking a constant to make it equal, we take a constant KH, and that is called Henry's law constant. X is the mole fraction and P is the partial pressure of gas dissolved. This Henry's law constant is different for, its value is different for different gases. It's not a universal constant, and this depends on the nature of the gas. If you see that at higher value of KH, if the value of KH increases, then what will happen? At a given pressure, the lower is the solubility. Mole fraction will be lower, because mole fraction here representing what? It is representing solubility. So if this value increases, then this should be equal. To make it equal, if the pressure is at constant, so we can say this KH value is different for different gases, and it depends on the nature of the gas. Now if we represent the mole fraction and partial pressure through a graph, so we can say it comes a straight line showing that it's directly proportional. Here this graph showing that mole fraction and partial pressure are directly proportional, straight line showing it. Now, so in summary we can say that Henry's law shows that solubility of a gas over a surface of liquid is directly proportional to its partial pressure. Now see the applications of Henry's laws, where we find the applications basically in the industries and some biological phenomena, where we can use this Henry's law, which says that solubility is directly proportional to partial pressure. So one of the best applications that we are using is the soft drinks and soda water, where we use the sealed bottles where the gases are pressed under this in soda water to increase the solubility of carbon dioxide. They are stopped with the cork. Second applications, that scuba divers, scuba divers, they go deep in the sea or in underwater, and there when they go down, the solubility of the atmospheric gases down increase the pressure, because going down the pressure of the underwater increases, it's very high. So increase pressure, increase the solubility of the gases. But when they come up, then the solubility, it goes down again. The pressure gradually decreases. This releases the dissolved gases and leads to the formation of bubbles of nitrogen in the blood. And this blocks the capillaries and creates a medical conditions, we call it bends. Because when they come up, instantly on coming up, the solubility decreases because pressure decreases, and this blocks the capillaries, and they create a medical problem. So to avoid bends, the toxic effect, a high concentration of nitrogen in the blood, the tank used by the scuba divers, they have this type of compositions. They take with them what? Helium 11.7%, nitrogen 56.2%, oxygen is 36.1%. Here you can see the composition of nitrogen is lower, and the composition of oxygen is increased, and inert gas helium is taken. So these compositions avoid the bends because this maintain the pressure. And the third conditions that we see, when we go in the altitude, high altitudes, going above, the concentration of oxygen keeps on decreasing, or it's lowered, and because of that, people living at high altitude or climbers, the concentration of oxygen decreases. So low blood oxygen causes climbers to become weak, and they are unable to think clearly even. And this type of symptoms, we call it what? Anoxia. So they also carry some oxygen cylinders so that they can cope up with the situations. So here are some of the applications that Henry's laws can be applied. So this is all about the effect of pressure on the solubility. Now what is the effect of temperature on the solubility of gases? In solid case we studied that there is no effect of pressure for the solubility in solid case, but when it comes to gas, the effect of temperature is just inversely proportional. Why? Because when we suppose here is the gases on the surface, this is liquid, and suppose we are heating this. On increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy increases and the interparticle space increases, and because of that the gas, it's become easy for gas to escape. So we can say dissolution process take place, the solubility decreases with increase of the temperature. So in simple terms we can say solubility and temperature are inversely proportional, right? But in case of solid, it is directly proportional. You must be keep in mind that so effect of temperature is different for solid and gases. Now see the vapor pressure of liquid solutions. First see the vapor pressure of liquid to liquid solutions, and both are volatile. Suppose here this solution having both the liquids, they are volatile and their partial pressures are P1 and P2, and let their mole frictions be x1 and x2. So in previous section we studied that partial pressure can be related with the mole friction. We study in the Henry's law. At the same time, Raoult's gave a quantitative relationship between partial pressure and their mole friction. This relation we call it what? Raoult's law. So what this law says, it states that for a solution of volatile liquid, suppose these two liquids are volatile, the partial vapor pressure of each component of the solute is directly proportional to its mole friction present in the solution. That means P1 is directly proportional to x1 and P2 is directly proportional to x1. Its partial pressure is directly proportional to mole friction. So here we have taken directly proportional, and to make it equal we have taken a constant called P1 naught. This P1 naught is what? It is the vapor pressure of one component system, or better you can say pure solvent, right? So this is a constant. Now for component 2 what we can write? For component we can write that P2 equals to P2 naught x2 according to this equation. And in Dalton's law you studied that Dalton's law partial pressure says that total pressure of system is sum of the pressure of individual components, that is P total equals to P1 plus P2 plus P3 and so on. Now we can substitute the value of P1 and P2 from there in the Dalton's law. So what we got here, P total equals to P1 naught x1 plus P2 naught x2. This is P2 naught. Now so P total equals to, this is the value of P1 and this is the value of P2. Now what is mole friction? You know the sum of the mole friction is always 1. That is x1 plus x2. Its value is what? 1. So what we can write the value of x1? That is 1 minus x2. So here we have substituted the value of x1, that is P1 naught. Instead of x1 we have written the value of 1 minus x2 plus P2 naught x2. Now if we solve this, if we multiply P1 naught 1 minus x2 and then take the common, so what we can write, that equation is, this become P1 naught plus P2 naught minus P1 naught x2. So this will give us the total vapor pressure. So from this equation, if you see the total pressure, here x2 is the mole friction, P2 naught and P1 naught are the vapor pressure of pure solvents, one component system. From this equation we can draw some conclusions. What are the conclusions? The first point, the total vapor pressure. If you wish to find the total vapor pressure of the solution, this can be related to the mole friction of any one component. Here you are relating with the x2. Suppose if I have taken the value of, if I kept the value of x2 here, so it will become 1 minus x1. So we will get the relation with the x1. So either x1 or x2 you can relate the total pressure. Second point, the total vapor pressure over the solution varies linearly. Why? Because x2 is directly proportional to P total. More the mole fraction, more is the vapor pressure, directly proportional. And third point, depending on the vapor pressure of pure component, that pure solvent we are taking 1 and 2, total vapor pressure over the solution decrease or increase with the increase of mole fraction of the component 1. If we talk about the 1 or 2, right? So this we can draw, we can plot a graph showing the relationship between these two, that is vapor pressure and mole fraction. And this we already have seen in the Henry's laws as well, that is the straight line was there. So here suppose we have a two component system. Here suppose the mole fraction x1 equals to 1, then x2 would be 0. And here x1 is 0, then x2 would be 1. So if we see this side mole friction on this, and here it is what? Vapor pressure. So we have seen that it's a straight line or directly proportional. So we are getting a straight line graph. This is for x2. As the x2 increases, so we can say its partial pressure increases. So we can write it's the value of P2. Same way this side, if we move, the value of x1 increases. So what you can write? You can take this way straight line. That is the value of P1. But we know that here the vapor pressure of pure solvent is P1 naught, and here the vapor pressure of second component is P2 naught. But if we want to find the total vapor pressure, this would be P total will be the P1 plus P2. This graph is for P2 and this graph is for P1. So this plot is linear, showing that mole friction of a gas is directly proportional to its solubility or partial pressure, right? Here we can say the minimum value of P total is P1 naught. If you see the P total, the minimum value if you wish to see, that is what? P1 naught, and the maximum value is P2 naught. This is the minimum value and this is the maximum value. Why? Because P total is the sum of P1 and P2, right? Now the composition of vapor phase in equilibrium with the solution is determined by the partial pressure of the components. Suppose if we talk about the vapor pressure in the vapor phase, if we want to find the total pressure, then suppose we take the mole friction here y1 and y2, mole friction of component 1 and component 2 separately, then using the Dalton's law, P1 is directly proportional to y1. So what you will write? Y1, but this is P total. Same it is P2, then y2 dot Pt. This is according to Dalton's law. So in general, what we can write, P1 we can write equals to Y1 and P total. That means suppose total pressure is given, then you multiply it by the mole fraction, you will get the individual partial pressure. So this is the vapor pressure of liquid solutions. But if you compare this equation, just what we have done in the Raoult's law, that P is directly proportional to Kh dot x, that is the Henry's law. And if you see the Raoult's law, what Raoult's law says, according to this equation, P1 equals to P1 naught x1. If you compare these two equations, it's comparing this equation, it looks very similar, because here constant is Kh and here constant is P1 naught, pure solvent pressure. Rest is same, partial pressure, mole fraction, here also partial pressure and mole fraction. So if we compare these two, it shows that Raoult's law is the special case of Henry's law only, right? Only proportionality constant Kh differ from P1 naught. So this way we can conclude that this is the special case of Henry's law only. Now see ideal and non-ideal solutions. First of all, see what is ideal solution. Ideal solution means which obeys Raoult's law over the entire range of concentration. Means in all concentration it follows the Raoult's law. And Raoult's law we discussed in the previous section, that partial pressure is directly proportional to its mole fraction. So if at all concentration a solution obeys this law, then it is what? Ideal. And if it do not obeys the Raoult's law, then the solution is non-ideal. But there are some other parameters or criteria to become a ideal. The delta H, we call it enthalpy of mixing. When we mix two solution, there should not be change in the enthalpy. It means there should not be a heat energy should not be released, neither it should be absorbed when the components are mixed. Secondly, delta V, that is change in volume. Mixing the two components, the volume should be equal to the what we have added, V1 plus V2, the components volume. That means ideal behavior, if any solution is ideal, then it should obey Raoult's law. There should not be any change in the energy, enthalpy, and there should not be any change in the volume. And if you see the molecular level, how they interact and they make the new bonds, whenever two solutions are mixed. Suppose previous component like A or B are mixed, so they have AA type interactions and BB type of interactions, suppose solute or solvent. But when they are mixed, they get a new type of interactions, AB type of interactions. So here AB type of interactions are equal to the AA or BB type. They are perfect ideal solution, means they are nearly ideal and their interactions is equal to their previous one type of interactions, and this leads to the ideal solution. Like N-hexane and N-heptane, if you see N-hexane and normal heptane, these are non-polar, both are non-polar, so they will not interact, and the solutions is ideal behavior, not perfectly but nearly to the ideal solution. Benzene and toluene, you can say bromomethane and chloroethane, normally these solutions are ideal. But when solution does not obey Raoult's law, then it becomes non-ideal. And most of the solutions are non-ideal. The vapor pressure of such solution is either higher or lower. than what we predict in the Raoult's law, because we do not obey Raoult's law, their enthalpy change is not equal, either heat energy is released or heat energy is absorbed, and delta V mixing, that also not equal. So here if you see the interactions molecular level, the new interactions formed between solute and solvent, that is AB type, are not equal to their previous interactions. Either it is higher or lower. So we call this deviations, positive or negative deviations. So you need to study the non-ideal solution. These are the characteristics.